Hi everybody and big welcome to a cEDH TV gameplay video from my solo perspective playing sisay Weatherlight Captain. It's been a while, so I wanna give her a go again. Now with us in this match we have Rhetoric playing Kodama and Sakashima. Sakadama you could also call them. Pontus is also here with us with his Dargo Tymna deck, Mardu Farm, Ad Nauseam Breach. And last player in the pod is Jin Shooting Star with his Tevesh and Kraum, basically Ad Nauseam, Breach and fastest consult. Deck lists are in the description below of the video. Now let's take a look at my opening hand. So I kinda like this opening hand. However, it's a little bit all in on the Ragavan. If it had just one more land, it would be pretty safe. But if I don't draw land, I won't get a turn 2 Favor Elder. If I had a turn 2 Favor Elder because I draw land, this hand will be amazing. But there's a chance that won't happen, so I'm gonna play safe, and this is the first 7, so let's mulligan. I kinda like this though. We have a Smothering Tight eventually here. I Code of Calling for a Dockside. We can get better, but I think I wanna be kinda greedy and keep this. Because if we have our 2 dorks in play, our 2 lands in play in sisay, we can dockside whenever we want, and that could be great if, depending on how many artifacts these guys put into play. So yeah, I'm gonna keep this. And we are 3rd in turn order. But before the game starts, Rhetoric kicks off with a Gemstone Caverns. Jin starts off by casting a Soldering and a Skull Clamp, which is great because his Tevesh is gonna eat those. A turn goes to Pontus, who's actually down to 5 cards. Pontus plays next also to Orchard and passes to me. Draw a card, Tropical Island, tap that, Windhorn Elf, pass. Rhetoric plays an island and then pass. That's sad when you have a Gemstone Cavern start. So Jin draws a card for his turn. 2 more mana, he has a Tevesh, Underground Sea, Malevolent Hermit. And then he passes the turn with the Underground Sea mana ready to activate and activate Malevolent Hermit. But in the end step, Pontus casts Enlightened Tutor. So I guess he's gonna find Mana Crypt. And there we go, yeah, Mana Crypt. And there you can see he's like down to 4 cards, so yeah, needs something explosive. Casts the Mana Crypt and plays a Sacred Foundry. And then he casts Tymna. I will untap and draw a card. I'm gonna play this Bloodstained Mire. Sacrifice Bloodstained Mire. I'm gonna find a bad land. I'm gonna cast a Nayela the Blade Blossom. And then I pass the turn. So I could have cast sisay there, but I think I want to put Nayela into play right now. Kind of pressure the board state and start to build those tokens. It's gonna be a great way to deal with the Tevesh. Oh no. Rhetoric casts Gilded Drake. Nayela is yours. So I kind of get it taking Nayela, but one thing you should remember here is that Nayela only makes tokens, while Tymna here draws cards. So I actually think potential play here is to take Tymna over Nayela. But it is what it is. Maybe I'm just salty. But here comes Tevesh from Jin. And he makes 2 Thralls. Now fun fact, everyone more or less have blockers against that Tymna. So card right here is tricky. He attacks with Tymna at Rhetoric. That guy. And he takes the 2 damage, which means that Pontus draws a card. Then he casts a Witchclaw Talisman. Oh, he activates it as well, giving it to Jin. Oh, I actually think you should give it here to Rhetoric. I think this is small risk. The argument Pontus, the reason Pontus is giving it to Jin here is because Jin is the last person in turn order, the Akira playmat. I think you should give it to the mono blue playmat here because the mono blue playmat's board state is smaller. But yeah, you never know what you have in your hand. However, Jin has a counterspell at the board state and something that's gonna draw him 2 cards then, or well, potentially 4 cards. In any case, Pontus casts Rite of Flame. I'm a little bit interested in you actually just mental misstep this. I'm gonna pass on the Rite of Flame here. Honestly, I think the worst outcome could be like mana into a wheel, which is what he could do. I don't want to wheel this hand. Take an extra turn, Final Fortune, that's bad. So Pontus take an extra turn. Yikes. So he has to win this turn or he will die. First thing he does is shocking into play a Blood Crypt. He attacks at Rhetoric with his Tymna, but Rhetoric blocks with my Nayela, which I think is the correct thing to do because Pontus is intended to win here and just preventing Pontus from doing stuff. We need to interact as much as we can. Okay, before damage, before Tymna is dead, he casts Silence. I'm gonna mental misstep the Silence, paying 2 life. But then he cooling the weak, the Tymna before damage. I can't stop that. I already used my mental misstep. And there we go, Ad Nauseam. I have to pass on the Ad Nauseam. And Ad Nauseam resolves. And here we go, starting to flip the deck. Life is shrinking, cards are added. I see Animal Breach there. Animate dead, lands, land, City of Traitors, Grim Monolith. He's already made a land drop. Ancient Tomb, Skirk Prospector, Sacrifice, Ox Diamond, that was bad. Ox Opal, that is also bad for me. Good for Pontus. I think Pontus has it here. Then he stops at 7 life remaining. So I guess I should have counterspelled the Rite of Flame. Mox Opal, Mox Diamond. Now he has the mana for Undual Breach. Skirk Prospector. Sacrifice it for red. Sacrifice everything else and cast his commander Dargo. Then he sacrificed Dargo with Burnt Offering, gaining a bunch of black and red mana. So as you can see, he makes 5 red and 3 black mana. And there we have Breach. And he casts Silence again from his graveyard. And there we go. Gamble, entombing a card. And he discards a Grim Monolith to gamble. And there we go, Bergie! We recast Gamble, and then he casts Altar of Dementia. So the trick here is that casting Dargo generates a red mana. And then, because he has sacrificed so many things, he will always be able to pay for the command attacks of Dargo, and with Altar of Dementia, he can wheel us out so our decks are emptied, and he will shrink his own deck and then cast a Wheel of Fortune, still keeping about 10 cards in his own deck. But let's go to a game 2. This hand has a lot of mana, and we have a Ragavan. We have a Drown in the Lock too, so I think I'm gonna keep this one though actually, because we're gonna get Ragavan turn 1, then get Treasure 2 Dorks, and then like turn 3 sisay and have mana for Drown in the Lock, which feels honestly pretty good. But also, quite amazingly, we are Sec first, starting player. Starting off, drawing a card, another one, Volcanic Island, tap it, and Ragavan, and pass the turn. Flooded Strand from Rhetoric. He finds a tropical island. Bird of Paradise. When a Chromox, he pitches Summoner's Pact, so it taps for green, and a Jewel Lotus, and then he passes the turn to Pontus. He draws a card, Exotic Orchard, and casts Rite of Flame. And he casts a Mana Vault. Use it to cast a Talisman of Conviction. Are we gonna wheel here? Okay. Loyal Apprentice, which is a good card to get with Tymna. And then he attacks at Yin for 2. And then he casts a Skirk Prospector. Wow. He just needs Tymna here and his hand size will regrow pretty fast. Thinking about it, Pontus is in a very strong position. Just get Tymna into play and then start creating tokens and attacking with a Skirk Prospector. He's probably gonna draw 3 cards on his next turn. And that's how it's gonna look like for the rest of the turns as well. Akira or Jin cast a Mana Crypt and a Mana Vault. Oh, he can get his Tevesh into play. Yeah, there we go. Tevesh Saf, Doom of Fools. I guess we're attacking Rhetoric. I don't think Ragavan is going to be that strong in this game. I'm tapping and drawing a card. That was a really good draw considering what we have in play. Tropical Island. Combat. Rhetoric. I'm attacking you with my Ragavan. Cleany Gem. I'm gonna cast Kinan, Bounder Prodigy. Sacrifice this for 2 green. Dork. Not that Dork. This Dork. Dork. And then I pass the turn. This is a really strong position though as well. We have a ton of mana. Like a ton of mana. Even if we get our sisay killed, we can still sit and activate Kinan over and over. And getting this Exalted creature actually helps because now Ragavan can attack more easily, having 2 in toughness. But I think it's gonna be hard to have attackers anyway soon. Rhetoric casts Kodama. He plays Oboro, Palace of the Clouds. That's the land that can be bounced by itself. Now he has a trigger, but we're gonna gain some information here. He doesn't have another land in his hand put into play with his Kodama trigger. The turn goes to Pontus. And there we go, Tymna, just like we talked about. Goes to combat and creates a Topter with haste. Ooh, he attacks at me. But 1/1 flying Topter goes at Jin's face. I'm gonna trade that with my Elvish Mystic, goes to the grave and yours too. I think it's really important just kill Pontus' token engine there a bit and removing that card as well. Shouldn't be too greedy. Like a mana dork for some Pontus drawing a card and getting rid of that card is pretty decent. Plays a City of Traitors, land drop, and pass. Really blurry webcam, but it is what it is. It takes some damage from his Mana Crypt and draws a card. Tevesh is there and token is there. That's a Bloodstained Mire that he sacrifice. Finding a Volcanic Island. He sacrifices a Thrall and draws 2 cards. He casts a Chromox. Imprints of Windfall. He casts a Mystic Remora. Fish. Rite of Flame. Seen that one before. 2 red mana. And Kraum. That's a big blocker. In attacks, 4 with Kraum at Pontus and pass the turn to me. We'll draw a card with it Foothills. Let's see if you trade Pontus. I don't think you're gonna do that because Ragavan at you. No, sorry. At 3 damage because it's an Exalted Ragavan. Pontus flips a Underworld Breach. No, I can't use that because I have like 1 card in my deck. A grave, I mean. But yeah, you can send that to exile. It's a hit. Gonna sacrifice with it Foothills. finding Plateau, and casting sisay. And then I pass the turn. So I have mana for Drown in the Loch as we send the turn over. Which is great because I think people might be in a very powerful position. Counterspelling things is really important. Oh, he cast Sakashima of 1,000 Faces that will enter the play as a copy of Kodama is 3. And then he can put a 6-drop thing into play. Easy. One that draws cards when you play lands. Oh, it has a land that can bounce back to his hand as well. And there you go, Trinket Mage. And my Drowned Lock can only deal with something with seems it 2 because he only has 2 cards in his graveyard. Finds Altar of the Brood. Puts into play a Talisman of Curiosity. They are like shrinking down permanent by permanent. And then Altar of the Brood comes into play because of the other one. And then Inventor's Fair. And he draws a card because the Inventor's Fair comes into play, triggering that Serpent, I think it is. But then he can return or borrow back to his hand here. Now, some great sadness here is that Drowned Lock can only kill creatures. And we weren't able to counterspell the Altar of the Brood because he tricked it into play with his commander shenanigans. So I was never able to actually counterspell the Altar of the Brood here. But what actually happens here is that with his Obora Palace, he will return land over and over, and basically draw out his entire deck with that big creature. And then just cast Fastest Oracle or Final of Devastation and swarm us over and kill us. Damn, we lose again. Games were really fast today. I mean, both games ended like before turn 4. I did have some interaction, but it just wasn't enough.